Alright guys, so since I started making the trading videos, you guys have all been asking me when I was going to make a video about certain pattern-based items and what I personally do to make profit, and I decided that instead of focusing on all of the pattern-based items in one video, I would make multiple videos showcasing each kind of pattern that I personally use. Doing this is going to allow me to go more in depth about each pattern type and what to look out for and what not to look out for. So I'm going to do this to the best of my ability, and I do want to just say really quick, this is all my personal opinion and this is all from my experience trading. Your experiences may be different, but this is a general guide. I also want to say that there may be a bunch of these out there already, but for the sake of my own channel, I wanted to have my own kind of showcase of these just to kind of document it. Alright guys, so today I'm on the website Skin.Trade. It's an instant trading website where you can put in your skins and get other skins. I'm going to be using it today because I really like the amount of case hardened stuff that they have on here, and I think I'm going to adequately be able to showcase different patterns within their inventory. And I think that using one site as opposed to like 4 will also allow you guys to get the edge, because when I upload this video, it's only going to be a few hours after recording it, so you guys are going to be able to go on here and probably nab a couple of these knives and maybe make some easy profit. Anyways, I'm going to hop right on into this. I'm going to start with Karambits because these are really the only knife that is set apart from the other ones, and that is just with the way that you inspect the knife. When a Karambit is shown, when you inspect it, it shows the play side first and the backside second, as opposed to showing the backside first and the play side second as other knives do. So if I just, do this live right now and I click inspect and I go to this knife, the first side you see is going to be the play side of the knife. So when you're holding the knife, that's the side that's going to be out. So with Karambits and Karambits only, that's the side you really want to focus on. This is a good knife to actually showcase on here because, as you guys can see, it has a ton of brown and gold on the play side, but then the back side of the knife has a decent amount of blue on the tip. And with case hardened stuff, the more brown and gold that you have, generally the less desirable the knife is. The point of the case hardened knives when trading is to have the most blue knife you can, the most solid blue knife you can, and the brightest blue knife you can. So as you guys can see, this knife right here, if I freeze frame really quick, it does have a decent amount of blue on the tip, but it really isn't that blue of a knife, and there is some purple spotting in there. You really want, that solid, like ocean blue almost, and that's really what's going to add all the value. Here's an example, guys, of a Karambit that has a decent amount of blue on the play side. This is a battle-scarred Karambit case hardened, and there is a decent amount of blue. The tip is really where I focus on the blue. I like to have a blue tip knives. I don't think that the knives look very good with brown tips, and this actually has a decent amount of blue all around. On the other side, it has some as well. A lot of times with the Karambits, it'll either have a ton of blue on one side and none on the other, or it'll just be totally disgustingly brown. But I think that this is also a good example to show you guys because this knife is probably worth a little bit more than market, but it is also battle scarred, so you cannot get as much for it. The wear of these knives plays a big part in how much they're worth. You can have a blue gem Karambit case hardened that is battle scarred, and it won't be as much, obviously, as one that's, minimal wear. As the float gets higher on these case hardened knives, they get a lot grainier and darker in color. You don't really have that bright ocean blue texture that a lot of people really look for in case hardened items. So generally, people will pay you less for battle scarred items, but they are still, collectible, and it is a lower tier case hardened trade, but you can still make decent profit from it. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend starting out with well-worn or battle scarred knives and just selling them to other people who can afford well-worn or battle-scarred knives. Like, generally, people who are just getting into trading are going to look for, the well-worn and battle-scarred knives just because they're not as expensive to get with a lot of blue on them. So if you're just starting out, it's definitely something to look out for. And like I said, this one is on Skin.Trade right now. Probably worth at least, 4, 5, 6 keys over market, maybe. That's probably the most I would pay for it. But anyways, let's move on. So the second kind of knife I want to focus on is going to be the Bayonet tier knives. This is going to be the M9 Bayonet and the regular Bayonet. This is also pretty universal for the gut knives and flip knives. All of these knives are going to show the back side of the knife first. So this is the side that you're not going to see when you're holding it. And then when it spins around is going to be the play side that you see when you have the knife in your hand in game. So as you guys can see, the play side of this knife has a little bit of blue on it, but isn't anything, fantastic. I'm not really an expert on bayonets because I have never really dealt with case hardened bayonets, so I don't really want to tell you guys that this is worth a ton over market. I don't really want to give you guys, inaccurate price checks on these because I don't want you to lose money. So I'm not really going to say, what has a lot of value on these, but I do know for sure that the more blue it has, the more value it has. So look for knives that have, 40 or 50% blue at least. Anyways, this is a bayonet case hardened. I believe this is field tested. It might be minimal wear. I don't remember. I didn't look. But this is the back side. It has a decent amount of blue on it, and the front side has not really that great blue. to. This probably isn't really worth anything over market. If it is, it's a tiny bit. So stuff like that that's hardly worth over market, I would honestly just pass on. Like, don't even risk it, because the way that I do my trades, unless I am 100% sure that I'm not going to lose money, I don't do the trade. Like, if there's a tiny bit of doubt in your head, don't make the trade, because it's most likely not going to be worth it. Realistically, the case hardened patterns on Bayonets, M9s, and the front side of Karambits are super rare, so it's not likely that you're really going to find one of these on a trading website. A lot of these get unboxed and don't get traded because people know how hard they are to find, but occasionally you will be able to snipe one off, so always keep an eye out. For the sake of making this video as accurate as possible, I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of, true #1 blue gem pattern case hardened bayonets and M9 bayonets. So you guys are going to see those on the screen, because I think it's important to know how blue these knives can actually get. Like, knowing the max amount of blue and the minimum amount of blue I think is important, because that really lets you gauge how good of a pattern the knife actually has on it. So as you guys can see, this knife isn't necessarily terrible. If that was the front side of the knife, it'd probably be worth a little bit over market, but I don't really think that there's too many bayonets or M9s on here right now that are worth a ton over. So I think we're just going to move on to a different knife. Now guys, while I could showcase each and every single knife and all of their case hardened patterns, I am not going to do that. Basically what I just told you with the bayonets and the M9 bayonets is pretty much universal for most of the knives, except the ones I'm about to specify in a second here. But you generally want, more blue is more value. That's totally universal with all case hardened stuff. Just remember to keep in mind that the wear of the knife and the float is gonna, play a part in how much you're actually gonna be able to get for them. But moving through, I think it's important to show like the lower tier of the case hardened knives, the ones that are really a lot less desirable. And honestly, it kind of goes with the knives. Like, it's not even necessarily the patterns on the knives, but like the knives themselves. The knives that people don't generally collect obviously are the knives that aren't as sought after, and I think it's important to know which ones are which. So the Huntsman knife, the Falchion knife, the Shadow daggers, and I believe the Bowie knife as well, they all have mirrored patterns. Now as you can see, this Huntsman knife has the same exact case hardened pattern on both sides, and that does make it a lot easier to get knives with a ton of blue on them, but they're not worth as much because they are mirrored patterns. It's not as rare to get, like a Falchion knife blue gem as it is to get, a Karambit blue gem, because the Falchion knife has a mirrored pattern. It's the same on both sides. A lot of the knives that you guys are going to start out with collecting and start out with trading with case hardened stuff, they're probably going to be these knives, the lower tier ones like the Falchion knife, for example. This is how I actually got started in trading. I picked up a well-worn, I think it was, Falchion knife blue gem, and I ended up selling it for I think $15 profit, which wasn't bad. And the knife was like completely blue, but realistically $15 over market for a blue gem case hardened knife isn't that great. If you really consider, how rare it is to actually get a full blue knife, that doesn't seem like it's a lot of profit. But when you have the knives that have the mirrored patterns, a lot of people just don't want to pay for them. I think I sold it to some kid who just got into trading and really was just looking for a play knife. So guys, with case hardened trading, it is important to note that you do not need to make $1 million on every trade, especially if you're doing lower tier trades. Making, $20 or $25 profit on a single trade is really nice, but at the same time, you're gonna have the knife for way longer than you should. You need to find a happy medium point where you can still make money, but also not have the knife for a while. So making more money is not always necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it's more important to let the knife go for less, just so you can rinse and repeat the process. Like, if you're making $5 or $10 profit per trade, that's not really bad, because then you can get, a $5 or $10 more expensive knife, and that could be the difference between a well-worn knife and a field-tested knife, and that puts a big difference on the price as well. So just keep it in mind, and don't try and get top dollar for these, especially if they're lower tier knives, because people are not going to buy them. You want to make sure that they get a good deal, because then you're also going to get a good deal and you're going to make profit. Once again, guys, keep in mind that it's always important to never make a trade if you don't think that you're going to make profit on it. If you have doubts, don't make the trade. It's never a bad thing to back out. At the end of the day, they're your items and you can do what you want with them. We're all in the trading community to help each other out and to, showcase your shit, so be nice about it. Anyways, guys, moving into the last, two items that are case hardened, that is the AK-47 and the 5.7. These are a little bit difficult to trade, but not too bad. The AK, I would say, is really hard to trade. I don't think I've ever even bought an AK case hardened because they're so hard to trade. You can't get rid of them. So honestly, if you're just getting into case hardened trading, I would completely stay away from AK-47s, but I will show you the #1 AK pattern in case you run into it. Once again, it's the same with these. The more blue, the better. The AK pattern has I think it's a reverse scar pattern is the best pattern. and for the case hardened, the more blue you have, the more it's worth, basically. So for the AKs, the more blue that you have on the top and on the barrel generally adds value, as well as the magazine, but you don't really see that as much. I know I personally look out for, you know, really blue tops on the AKs and really nice barrels, but I don't, like I said, buy those. So it's really not something to you know, go crazy for. They're really hard to trade unless you're trading to a case hardened collector. So unless these are like StatTrak factory new, I would stay away from them. If you're just getting into case hardened trading, I would literally not even look at AK case hardens, because 9 times out of 10 you're probably not going to make profit. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, that's just my personal opinion. I'm just trying to help you guys ensure that you're getting good trades. Now, the 5.7 case hardened is a little bit different. This gun is balanced in thirds. Let me get a different one. That one's actually my personal one that I use, but if I pull one off of Skin.Trade here, you can see, you know, the gun, sorry, is kind of divided into thirds. Okay, so you have this first third here, which is from this little line to the front of the barrel, and then you have the second third, which is from this line to this line, which is above the trigger, and then the final third of the gun is the back, just, you know, where the iron sights are. Basically, you'll hear people advertising that they have a 5.7 case hardened that's 2/3 blue or whatever, and that just means that, you know, 2 out of these 3 sections are very blue, and 1 might not be so much. Realistically, the more blue you have on these, the more they're worth, but there are different pattern indexes for these, and some of them look way cooler than others. A lot of these are just personal preference. I know personally, this is the one that I use. I think it's neat. I like it, but at the same time, there are really weird patterns. On my profile, if we go back far enough, you can see that I did have one of these once that was literally 2/3 blue, just about. It had a little purple and orange here, but the third, you know, the third portion of it was completely blank. This is the weirdest pattern I've ever seen. I've never actually seen one like that. Low-key, if you have one, hit me up because I fucking want it. This was actually the first skin that I had that was worth any bit of money, and I sold this for, I think, 4 or 5 keys over market. I made decent profit on it. I think it was minimal wear. I don't know. It was probably worth more because I've never seen this kind of pattern before, but I was just getting into trading and I just wanted to make some, you know, some quick profit. But there are a lot of different pattern indexes for these, and there are a lot of different patterns, so it's important to look out for them. For the most part, you're not going to find anything too fantastic, but if it's something you've never seen before, I would recommend picking it up, and even if you don't sell it, just use it as a play skin, because these are neat, and you never know, maybe you'll run into someone who really wants the pattern you have and will overpay you a ton of money. Once again, that's just my run-ins with it. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would just be to stay away from the case hardened guns altogether until you're, you know, really good with the case hardened patterns, and I would just stick with, you know, some of the lower tier knives like the falchion knives and maybe even the gut knives. Also, from my experience, I don't really deal with shadow daggers. I don't know of anybody who does deal with shadow daggers. Half of these knives are named butt plug. I don't think anybody really actually likes these knives, so I would stay away from those as well. The knives that I got started trading case hardened with, like I said, were the falchion knives. I think that they're a good middle ground. You know, they're not really high tier, and you can trade them fairly quickly if you're doing low tier stuff. But if you're looking for higher tier trades, I would recommend trading the flip knives, because a lot of people like flip knives. They're mid-tier knives, and they're pretty easy to trade if you give someone a good price. Anyways, guys, I hope that was in order, and I hope it wasn't too confusing, and I hope that you can take something away from that. If you guys want to leave a comment down below and tell me what patterns you want me to do next, I can happily make a video on that in the next few days. And once again, guys, all of the knives that I showcased as I was recording this video are available on Skin.Trade right now, so if you guys want to head over there and see if any of them are still on the site, you can pick them up and maybe make some profit. The link will be in the description. I hope this helped you guys out. I hope you guys have a great night. Good luck trading, and I will see you guys in the next one. Close your eyes and you're gone. Dream, 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 dream.